Collectable episode, the Fractional Report before opening bells, brought to you by Collectable. We've got a Jordan record-breaking sale in Memorabilia. It's a big deal for a lot of people. I think it's the first sale where game-worn jersey outsold the card. So there's always that, game-worn versus card. So we can talk a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah.
You're a Jordan 10 owner. I personally feel that it's consolidating at this, 180 to 210. Any auction that happens, it could be Memory Lane, it could be Golden, it could be PWCC Premier. It's ending right at that 180 to a 200K mark. So we'll talk about the Jordan 10, Acuna, and then get your take or updates from managing the portfolio this week. So we could start off doing a little hybrid episode since it's Sunday night, football.
Last week, I came into last week's episode all upset because I did not have a good week. And this week, coming into the night games, I'm 13-3 against the spread between props and games. I started off 9-0 in a 1 o'clock game. Still had a winning record in the 4 o'clock in the props. Devontae Adams let me down. I would have liked to have squeezed out a Raider win. I had the Cardinals plus 5.5. I was hoping for that.
Did he throw that ball away too soon?
I mean, listen, the Raiders just find ways to lose. They find ways to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. It's just what they do. I'm a suffering Raider fan. I called Ian. I was out for a little while. I said, Ian, what do you think of that? And he's like, it's funny. I'm like, are you sad? He says, no, it's funny. It's just funny.
22 straight points.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for the there were a couple of games that were just even more monumental collapses. The Jets were losing by 14 points with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. The Browns missed an extra point and gave up 2 touchdowns and lost by 1, including an onside kick in there. The Ravens
should have gone down.
No, I think that's silly. Go for the win every single time. The Ravens were up. I mean, they were up huge. They were up 3 scores in the fourth quarter, and the Dolphins came back and beat them. The Rams almost blew a 28-3 lead. Should have lost that game. Managed to hold on in the end against the Falcons. So, I mean, just a crazy NFL game. And listen, the one thing I will say for those listening to the Fractional Report, and it is, I love the items on Fractional for 2 reasons. One, they are ones that are very difficult for you to obtain just as an individual. Right? I went to a card show with my son today. None of the items that are on Collectable are available at a card show like the one I went to. Not to mention, when you get items like that, they usually are high-end GOATs, greats, Muhammad Ali belts, Michael Jordan game-worn rookie jerseys. I just, crazy Babe Ruth, you name it, Kobe game-worn shoe, like stuff that is just like, iconic, one of a kind.
Carl Yastrzemski's bat and jersey.
And even
Andre
though
the Giants jockstrap, which Cage has bought out, so you guys can't get on that any longer. Where's that now? The
point being made here is there are some record sales of people who have done nothing. I mean, Justin Herbert card sold for $1.8 million, and another one sold for 1.1. And I like Justin Herbert, but he's not that far removed from Trey Lance, and people are paying a lot.
Scary? So remember in 2008 when you hate when I do this. Remember when Lehman Brothers went down? You know how it sends shockwaves throughout the system? Like, do you think Trey Lance will have a similar effect?
I mean, sure.
I
know what you're saying. People should pay attention to the warning signs on that. And, for the Collectible episode, it's a little different. We could talk about like ultra modern, but I guess the point there was, your risk reward here, right? I mean, this is not highly speculative stuff. You could say Mahomes is one of the more speculative players on here. He's already won a Super Bowl and an MVP. He's one of the youngsters on Collectible. The Trey Lance thing, I would say, listen, Zach Wilson should have scared people already. That was one of those, could be really bad, could be worse. It's actually not so great. And I know, Zach Wilson's not Trey Lance. I mean, Joe Burrow hurt himself, came back and went to the Super Bowl. Now he started off just getting the snot kicked out of him, for 2 games here. It's not a game that I like to play. I don't like that, that risk, the high risk that's involved with these quarterbacks. And yeah, to your point, I do think there's going to be some ripple effects. And I think it carries over to the basketball market. I think it definitely is, it has an impact. I mean, even
why would it carry to basketball? Basketball isn't nearly as dangerous.
Because it's not the same physical injury, but it's the same high risk reward type of play, right? So yeah, Trey Lance got injured and he fractured his ankle, but Trey Lance didn't look so hot in the 2 weeks that he was actually playing. I mean, he didn't play a lot in today's game. He got hurt, but it wasn't looking like the guy that would justify the prices that people were paying for his cards. So, you look at it just injury. I look at it risk reward. And yeah, it's less likely a basketball player gets injured, but we've seen lots of injuries. I mean, John Morant get injured. We've seen back injuries, seen Zion get injured and not play. Depending on who you're, investing in.
In an overpriced modern and ultra modern market, the risk outweighs the reward across the board, is what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
So if I were to kind of draw a line across all these players in the ultra modern, by your theory, they're all risky, right?
Yeah.
And their upside has already been kind of shrunk because of their run-ups.
Yeah, I mean, not the episode for it, but I always leave today's local show, with the same opinion. I draw correlations in my brain to when I was a younger kid. I mean, probably a teenager at the time, but in the 90s but a kid. But I was a teenager, in the mid 90s when I'd walk around a show and everyone's showcase had the same shiny stuff in it. Just a proliferation of shiny stuff that I didn't even know existed. And it was the same guys who played for the last couple of years, and there are hundreds of different cards for each one of the quarterbacks who was the new guy, the Heath Schulers, the Rick Meyers, the guys who you've never even heard of, right? The Trent Dilfer you might have heard of, but just cases of quarterbacks. The basketball guys, the Nick Van Exels, and the Latrell Sprewells, and the Christian Leitner, and I mean just cases upon cases of just oodles of cards. You're like, what set was that? What release was that? And it's shiny, and there's kids walking around trying to sell stuff, and it gave me the same kind of flashback and I remember most of those cards are basically worthless now.
Even young cards are worthless, and the guy has achieved so much.
A lot of his cards some of his cards have some value, but yeah, I mean, it does. You have to have those kind of days where you take a little bit of a pause and realize that there's a lot of stuff out there right now, right? And we talk about flight to quality, and that's part of what we're dealing with here. Yeah, I mean, dude, it's a fun little trip down your own, mental rabbit hole, right? Because, I mean, you love buying modern stuff, you love buying, cards, but even you have a different way of doing it, right? You'll buy Steph Curry, graded 10s, SGC 10s, PSA 10s of cool, underappreciated cards at a bargain price. That's fun. I don't think there's as much risk, if any risk.
I did leave my sweet spot recently, though. I did branch out, and I probably got Jamar Chase, probably not a great buy, right? That's not a Steph Curry game worn patch for $100.
No, but I mean, you're hoping to catch Steph Curry before he becomes Steph Curry. You're hoping to catch the next Randy Moss or Jerry Rice before he becomes Jerry Rice or Randy Moss. The problem is, if you're already paying 60 or 80% of the price of Jerry Rice or Randy Moss for Jamar Chase when he's accomplished 4% of what they did, that becomes one of those.
Each snap you're watching and you're like, man, this is a vicious game.
It's very vicious.
This is a vicious game. He's not going to become Randy Moss on any one play, but he can get crushed on any one play.
It's true. It's true.
You know what I think football is? Football is chess before the ball snap and war when the ball is in there.
It is war. You're 100%. I think you're right. It is chess and war. I think you're you're righter than that. Than you probably even realize.
He loves that. By the way, that's like his way of giving me a compliment, but immediately retracting it. You are more right, but you don't even know how right you are. So you just got lucky. I'm not being right
listen,
there.
I'd
But
rather be lucky than good. They say that, right? I mean, I'd rather be lucky than good, 100%.
you want me to go through some of the data? Anything comes to mind, Mr. Carl Icahn, portfolio manager of Collectable with an A?
Well, we had a couple of more shares sell of some of our items, but I think we now have, like $30 worth of cash in our portfolio now, a couple of shares here and there. One of our Roberto Clemente rookie cards sold a share of it. I think one of our Hank Aaron rookie cards sold one share. And I saw somebody publish like a tweet about it. It's like, hey, we bought this now. And I'm like, yeah, you bought it for like, $8. You bought one share. It was mine.
You got to start somewhere.
Exactly. So yeah, it's slow going, and it hammers home the liquidity thing because I tried selling stuff 2 weeks ago because I wanted to get into the Hogan Andre basket, and that was the top gainer of the week. That was the one that was up 58% this week. The Hogan BGS 9.5 itself sold for $52,000. The pair is now trading at $57,950, which is still, I would say, a discount to those two cards. But that's kind of what you see. It doesn't run its way all the way up. I would have liked to have gotten in on that ahead of the sale of that stuff. Obviously, a lot of people knew that the Michael Jordan jersey was selling this week. They probably didn't know it was going to sell for $10 million, but you see the number 2 up is that 84-85 game-worn and signed rookie jersey of Jordan was up. That's only trading at $315,000, which is obviously a far cry.
That's not what always happens. That's usually it trades as a effect, as a laggard, right? Usually you have the record sale and then it moves. This is the first time where it's moved before the sale was public.
Yep. Yeah.
I guess they saw that they saw kind of the writing on the wall. Do you think this runs for another week or two?
Well, I mean, listen, it doesn't have the same provenance as that. I mean, that jersey that's like a Last Dance jersey. It's on the cover of Sports Illustrated, that jersey. I mean, that's got like amazing stories to it, amazing data points. This one, while it's a rookie, which is kind of cool, that was a 98 finals jersey. It's pretty iconic. That said, is it 30 times more iconic? Right, this one's trading at 3%, not 30%, 3% of the price of the one that just ended this weekend. Not a lot of Jordan gamers out there that are available, let alone rookie gamers. So that's kind of a cool thing. Do I think this one runs a little bit? I honestly, I do. I mean, I think this is one. Look, not that $300,000 is cheap. You can live in your Jordan jersey or you can live in a house. So it's not that it's cheap, but when you compare it to a $10 million sale this past weekend, it definitely looks like a $300,000 bargain. Can we say that with a straight face? I mean, I guess we can. Acuna came back. He's hitting some home runs. He looks good again. He seems to do that at the end of every season. Is it strong? A strong playoffs for him? And doing it without Freddie Freeman, and and actually, make it, bringing his team deep into the playoffs. Does that matter? Because that was the number 3 gainer at almost 34%. Acuna 17 Bohm Croman Refractor Auto BGS 10 basket of 4.
Pretty cool. Realistically, Cage, Ohtani and Trout, Ohtani and Judge are the storylines this year. Like Acuna is not. The Braves are going to make the playoffs. Who do you think makes a run in the playoffs? Do you think the postseason, as you've seen the season play out, do you have any predictions?
I mean, it's pretty crazy. The Dodgers are just really good. They have 100 wins already, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the Yankees, who were on pace to win 108, now might end up winning like 95. A very pedestrian, year. I don't think they're going to win 100. They'd have to go on a heck of a run here to finish out the season to win 100 games, which, they'll win enough. They'll finish with the 2nd seed. If it's them in Houston, they'll have to go through Houston to get through the American League. I just think the Dodgers are a juggernaut. I think they're just too good. The Mets, if their pitching is healthy, could be a problem.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I got Scherzer and DeGrom. If those guys are actually healthy for a playoff run, you don't want to face them in a short series. You don't want to face them, in anything. I mean, you get those guys each pitching 2 games in a 7-game series, or on short rest, you have one of them going 1-4-7 if you need, and the other one going, game 2 Game 5. I mean, you get 5 starts out of those two guys. You shouldn't lose. I don't really
Gage,
care
you
who
said before the season the AL East is going to have 4 teams over 500.
I did. I did.
Yankees?
I thought it would be the Red Sox and not Baltimore. Now the Red Sox are the surprising team to the downside. Baltimore is the surprising team to the upside. I mean, that's a team that was losing 100 games. They actually played pretty well this year with some young stars, but there are definitely 4 teams that are going to finish with a win.
Well, even the Red Sox are 4 games below 500.
They might if they go on a run. Yeah,
pretty incredible. But no one's talking
Mariners. The Mariners are playing good enough ball to keep Baltimore out of the playoffs. So there probably will be 3 playoff teams in the American League East and not 4. Baltimore will have a very nice season, but they probably won't make it because Seattle's too good. I think, if you're looking at the standings, I think I'm right.
You're absolutely right. There's a lot of young talent that has an opportunity to prove something, and they're not all on Collectable, but like Julio could do some things in the postseason, right?
Yeah. But
Judge, you still
even that, right? I mean, Soto, as a young kid, made it to the World Series. Should have probably won the MVP in that series. Hit some home runs in the series, and I think they gave it to Strasburg that year. He pitched fantastic. Nothing wrong there. But Soto, he's kind of fallen a little bit. He's kind of fallen off a little bit. He's on the Padres. They probably make the playoffs, but it's going to come down to it. He's been pretty cold since being traded to the Padres. There's been a lot of drama around there with the Tatis suspension and all that other fun stuff. So even making the playoffs and winning a World Series as a young kid in baseball, what does it make you? Mahomes? You still got to come back and prove it again?
Dude, Mahomes is we'll see. You're the NFL guru. I don't understand this sport. I'm not betting on it. I just watch it. It's crazy when you have no action on NFL. So, but I'm a Mahomes guy. I think Brady looks a little bit washed, and Mahomes is where it's at. Let's go through the data and wrap the show.
Sure.
I'll go top 3 decliners. So we have 70% loss. Robert Clemente, game used bat. Used the bat from 1965 to 68. And this is a game used 9. So you went through this real quick, Cage. Do you remember you went through the game use grading?
Yeah, I mean, a 9 is definitely game use for him. This is low. This is probably somebody who was looking to exit on this. $20,000 for a Clemente gamer and a game use 9, shows great wear, shows, definitely it's his. He's definitely used. What's funny is a lot of people don't realize this. Clemente bats can be broken down into 2 categories, his early bats and his later bats, sort of like Mays. Mays has a lot of later bats, even into the 70s when he was playing. He played for the Mets, played for the Giants later on. He's got, in the 50s, his earlier bats are really rare, and they are really sought after because people weren't, saving bats, you name it. Same thing with Clemente. His earlier bats are much more desirable and collected than his later bats. There's a little bit more supply of these ones, but even with an increase in supply, a Clemente bat trading at $19,544, I believe, is an overreaction to nothing. It is too cheap. It is somebody looking to, just basically sell out, and get liquidity and maybe move into something else. Maybe they're trying to get into Andres Jockstrap. You never know. It was also weird because, you rarely see this. That, it wasn't like something happened this week with game-used bats. Like PSA didn't come out and say, we messed up. There's a lot of fraudulent game-used bats. But 2 of our top 3 decliners this week were game-used bats, right? The Jimmy Fox 36-37 game-used 9.5 bat. That one was also down 60-something%. Jimmy Fox was a great batter, great player, but
I think it's what you say, Gage. People sometimes lose patience with the platform and the liquidity, so they kind of have to lower their ask until they eventually get a bid to get out of it.
Yep.
So it seems like almost that's someone who has the same demo, right? It might be the same person selling.
It might have been just somebody who's looking to get out, and it was somebody
If you were Collectable, would you hold some of these assets? Would you be the market maker?
No, I think they need to, for it to survive, I think they need to have a more robust market that stands on its own. I do. I think you need to have people in there, trading these assets. And I think that happens. I really do think that happens. Maybe not with a Jimmy Fox bat, but with some of the items that are on here, eventually there'll come a time where, LeBron's and Brady's and, Mantle 8s, cards that are 7-figure cards don't trade every month, don't have the same, visibility that do. And the only way to get a piece of those would be on a platform like this, on Fractional, and to trade them here the way you would trade stocks. I think, I think the hope, of course, is that enough institutional money comes in. Think of it like funds, right? And those funds are locking up 50 or 70 of
There's
the
less
99
available supply.
RPAs.
Gotcha.
And the only way to trade them or, get exposure to that asset is on a platform like this.
Gotcha.
I don't see that happening this month or this year, but that's kind of, I think, the grand design in the future.
I'm curious, like if we would get Rally, Dibs, and Collectable into a room, and pump them with Cage's famous True Serum, which is available to purchase on our website, $99.99. Better than Kurt's Care. But no, I wonder what they would say. Like, what have they learned? What has surprised them? Because what's interesting is they need each other to survive, right? Like, none of the fractional companies are here like killing it where the other ones are struggling. I think that the whole space had a lot of excitement maybe a year and a half ago, and that excitement, similar in a lot of ways to Top Shot, kind of faded. And I'm curious if they got in the room together, what they would say to each other.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they definitely don't want any of their, I don't want to call them competitions, but the other folks who do this stuff to fail. I think they all want each other to survive and thrive because it doesn't look good, if any of them,
right,
don't. The learning of it, I mean, a lot of the stuff that happened in the, in the heyday, right, in the run up, the pricing is a little bit lower than, I think maybe what they'd say is it'll all stabilize out, as the prices are where they are now, get some items and get them out there. I will tell you the interesting little observation that I have, and I don't think Rally's had one recently either, is you remember when the market was kind of flying last year, it seemed like every month we would come on and talk about, at least once a month, or you'd see it on Twitter, we'd come on and we'd talk about a buyout offer, whether it was a Tim Duncan or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And I don't remember when the last buyout offer was. I mean, there were a lot of them.
Right.
And that kind of dried up, you know what I mean? So I guess part of it would be, let's try to figure out a way to, get back to that a little more robust.
Well, you have to take care of investors. Something I'm curious about. And let's not use Trey Lance, but let's use Joe Burrow. So 2 years ago, he got injured towards ACL, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of panic sellers, and there's a lot of panic sellers of NT. So with this Trey Lance situation, it would be cool or interesting to, I know there's going to be panic sellers with his cards, right? Bring those cards to Collectable at a discount, right? Instead of going to sell at an auction, retain some of your equity, and you're going to get 40% on the dollar anyway. So get 40% of the dollar and retain the equity. But now the investors have to have a holding period. They have this 90-day, 100-day. And now you get an opportunity to invest in that quarterback. You're getting it for 40% on the dollar because of some event that happened, and you're locking it in long term.
Yeah.
All right. And you're providing alpha and opportunity for these investors.
I mean, it's definitely yeah. I mean, I like it. I mean, we'll see what happens, right? I mean, my thought is, as the market shifts, Collectable will be one of the few places where, folks can go with some of their items to maximize the value on them, right? Like you're talking about, right? So I think, where before they might chase a Mahomes card or a Herbert card that might be a little down level, not the top one. I think now they'll have the ability to get the best of the best, the stuff that is somebody doesn't want to auction it, somebody wants to maintain some of the card, some retain some of the a piece of it, a percentage of it. So
and to the seller, so provide them with shares, provide them with retained, and provide them with like a collectible credit. Now they go and use that money. They're gonna sell that Trey Lance card anyway.
Yeah. I mean, listen. Also, I have to say this, right? And it's difficult because Collectible doesn't show the bids and the asks until active trading is there because everything changes, right? So the number 3 decliner, we talked about the 2 bats. The number 2 decliner, which is right there in there, they're all kind of in the same window, was a Jason Dominguez 2020 Bowman Chrome Orange Refractor Auto BGS 9.5 out of 25, down 64%. I looked at this. I saw it on Friday, trade down. And I don't know how many shares traded at a certain amount, but when I looked at it, I was like, all right, I would buy some of this. I have 30
Really?
hold out. I would buy some of this at that price. But he's playing well at AAA. He's actually playing pretty well. Not AAA. I think he's at like high A. I mean, he's a teenager. He's a kid still. Jason Dominguez, buddy. And I was like, I'd buy it at that. But when I looked, the ask was significantly higher than what the last trade was. So even though this looks like it's down 64%, like you and I couldn't go in and buy it at the price that it's at. I want to make sure everybody understands that, right? Because, for a year we talked about, it's down, and you think, oh, well, I can get on the platform Monday morning and buy it at that 64% down. No, you can't. The ask on it is, if you were to buy 1 share at the ask, this would be right back up, which is, I think, part of why we see some of these downs moving to the up the following week. You know what I mean? People will, oh, wow, it's down. Let me go in and grab a share. And you grab a share or 2 or whatever it is, and it's already significantly higher. So, it's just an interesting little nuance that's out there. So a couple of auction results, if you want to go through them. Yeah. I guess we can kind of go back and forth if you want. The 01 SP Authentic Tiger Woods BGS 9.5 sold at Golden for $13.2, while Collectable dropped 26% and is still at 17, which is significantly higher than the 13.2. I mean, kind of still in the wheelhouse, but that I wouldn't be surprised if that one dropped again this week. Based on that, recent Golden sale.
I worry about fringe sports for people that don't know them, right? Because you have to very understand the collector base. So I don't know what the underlying collector would pay for a Tiger Woods card, right? In a bull market, you want Tiger, but I'm curious. We're about to find out. I think these next 6-9 months, we'll see how these fringe sports perform.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm still baffled by the 9.5 to PSA 10 Jordan Flair disparity. So 180K was a memory lane PSA 10.
Yep,
a 9.5 sold for $34,000.
Yeah, Golden.
Incredible. Absolutely astonishing if you really think about it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's the lowest price for a Jordan since 2020. So that's that's interesting. The BGS is kind of in line where it is. The PSA 10 is trading at 209.5 on Collectable, so you might see that one take a little bit of a dip down. But on the positive side, Memory Lane had a PSA 8 1953 Topps Mantle, a very nice copy, sell for 117. The PSA 8 on Collectible is only at 87,000 after already moving up 14% this week. So, that's one you might be able to see, maybe moving up a little bit. But yeah, the Jordan ones they're interesting. Definitely interesting stuff. Yeah. I mean, the next go around, we'll have the PWCC premiere to talk about. Some comps on that. The stuff on the platform, the Carlton Fisk Waves at Fair Ball is still in the in-app. The IPOs, the 81 Wayne Gretzky Sports Illustrated newsstand has less than 10% remaining. The Michael Jordan 85 Nike Air Jordan 1 dead stock still has about 3/4 of that available. And the Tatum Flawless Gold RPA still has about 21% left, to fill. So, I mean, an interesting week. There were a couple of shares of our stuff sold. It's funny how it works, though, because I think it was Mahomes. I don't have any of our Mahomes for sale because I am so high on Mahomes. I know you're not. I know you're not, but I'm very high on Mahomes. So he's one of the few that I don't have actual shares up for sale because I think he's going to sell, a little higher. But we'll see. Maybe I take some. But somebody, I don't know if it's Mahomes or maybe Clemente. At one point on Friday afternoon, our portfolio value was like $990 and we had $30 cash in it. So we were up We were up. And then one share was traded at like $5 at a price below, and our market value dropped from $9.90 to $9.30. And all of a sudden, we went from in the green to in the red.
And for a numbers guy like you,
yeah, it makes me upset. It makes me upset going into the weekend. You know, I definitely am not was not thrilled about that. I'll tell you that much. So, what do you think, man?
I think you're hitting record numbers in 2 out of the 3. So you killed it in NFL betting and props.
I did.
Our podcast is hitting record numbers. Okay, Collectable's not hitting records, not yet. 2 out of 3, 66%. That will get you to the Hall of Fame.
I want to ask you, and just you don't have to pull out any specific one. It'll be 2 minutes just to kind of cap it out, right? Game worn memorabilia, right? Jordan with a different Jordan, Tiger Woods with a different putter or bag or whatever it is. Talk to me about that. You know, I guess I have a theory, and we've talked about this, and I want to know whether you agree, disagree, or a little bit of agree, a little bit of disagree. The game worn memorabilia is very subjective. It's very item specific. You know, it's where did Kobe wear these shoes? What did he wear it for? You know, where did Michael Jordan wear this jersey? How good is the photo match? You know, and just because one, Kobe item or Peyton Manning item or, Roberto Clemente item sells for X amount doesn't mean that another item of the same player that doesn't have all of the same kind of data points that one does, it doesn't mean it's going to move in tangent. What do you think about that?
I mean, that's fair. How can you dispute what you? Of course, memorabilia is very subjective.
So, is there any way for us to use these like sales in other auctions to say, all right, well, we saw this one, there's going to be a carryover effect, or your advice to people would be careful expecting a Tiger Woods item to jump just because another Tiger Woods item moved?
Well, be careful in a tougher market. Because what you're really asking is, if this jumps, can I move my money here and make money? And in a great market, the answer is obviously yes. In an average market, the answer is more than likely. But I think we're in a little bit of a tougher market where we see auctions ending cheaper. It's no secret, right? It's just tougher market, less disposable income. Cards are down, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to go into the whole detail.
Yeah.
So there's you could check all the boxes, but there might not be a buyer. There just might not be a buyer right now, right? Like what caused the 2008 crisis? Well, one of the things is liquidity dried up. What is liquidity drying up? It just means that there's no buyers out there. So you have to consistently just drop price to the bottom. And if you're in a mark-to-market business, looks like your business is going under. But in here, if there's no buyers, you could have the best asset in the world that you could storytell around 100 times and dance, but no one's got the money. It's really that simple, right? Like,
yep,
someone's got to have the money.
100% correct.
And here's the kicker: in a tough market when interest rates go up and all that stuff, money's more expensive. So now it cuts out all of the people who might have, 2 years ago taken a loan at 2% to buy something. Now they're like, I have to take a loan at 12%. I don't know about that. Right? So now you only have cash buyers, so it shrinks your pool.
All right. There's one, if you have the ability.
I love when I get Cage thinking.
I mean, you're 100% right, because you brought in kind of like macroeconomics of it too.
By the way, this is why PWCC is going to have incredible sales, because they built this amazing platform, right?
Yep.
They say, hey, why would you store these items in your house? Store them here. You could run them in our weekly. You could run them in Premier. And by the way, now we have lending. So you're going to have instant liquidity.
Yeah, so it solves for the liquidity issue. Do you have the ability to pull one item up?
Sure. My computer's been a little bit funky recently.
I'll let you go right after this, because I know it's it's approaching bedtime. I apologize for keeping you up a little later than we normally are. It's my fault. I went for a walk. But you love my health. You know my health comes first. So if you
Your
can,
health is more important to me than my health. You're absolutely right.
I know.
Your health does come first to me.
I know it does. It's very important. I'm
Say
older.
no more.
I'm going to die first. A messy rookie basket. You just type messy rookie basket. So with the World Cup coming, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. You could talk about kind of the couple of cards that are in it. And I'll give a background for folks while you're pulling this up. This IPO'd at $10 a share, 9,200 shares with a $92,000 value on it. Unless I am mistaken, last week it closed at $4 a share, and this past Friday down to $2.10. So if you pull up like the week over week chart, it's down almost 50%. I mean, a significant drop. Didn't make our top three because our top three were over 65% down this week. So there you are, a liquidity event going from 4 to 210, which puts the market cap on this basket as we head into World Cup under $20,000. There's some cool messy cards. What's in this basket?
So the challenge is cards are confusing as is. So you have a PSA 10 Campeon from 2000.
Barca.
From Barca, and then you have a BGS 9.5 Barca
also
card.
Barca.
Yes, he is 2004, 2005 Panini sticker. Dude, cards are tough as is.
Yep.
So having to solve for like a cross grade comparison, right? So you have like a 10 and then a 9.5. There's a min gem, and then you got one card here, and then it's a different rookie card here. So that doesn't help the basket. Honestly, it's like one of those where if they're sold separately, the sum of the parts would be more than this basket, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, you know what I mean?
But I mean, at 19,000, is this one that could be a potential buyout candidate?
Yeah, it's
when it IPO'd at 92.
It's one of those where a big money flipper could come in, buy this out, sell off one, recoup costs, and hold the other one. That kind of play would be an interesting one for this. At 19K for sure. I'd have to. I don't know the messy market on these two cards specifically.
Yep. No, listen. I put you on the spot a little bit,
but it's the same. It's Serena. It's Federer. It's the same thing. It's going to be his goodbye tour. And even if he decides to play another World Cup, which I don't believe will happen, you still have like the discussion around it. So I think it's worth a shot. I've been buying a lot more soccer recently myself. So
there you go. All right, folks. There's another fractional report.
Thank you all for listening to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo My. I wanted to tell you about a new service that we have starting as of today, and I'm really, really excited to bring it to you guys. So as a part of our partnership with SGC, we got 50 free submissions every single month, and many of you have taken advantage of that. And it's amazing that we could have the opportunity to 650 episodes, 675 episodes in, to go ahead and give back to our community. As people were sending those cards in, they asked, can we send 5, 10, 20 more cards to you guys? We'll pay for it, but we wanted them graded with SGC. You guys know SGC is turning cards around in 13 to 14 business days, have incredible customer service, and their secondary market values are going up day after day after day. And that's exciting for the hobby and exciting for the grading landscape. So we didn't want to just rush into it. We wanted to do it right. And what we did was I relocated here to Boca Raton, Florida. I opened up a P.O. box maybe 5 minutes away from SGC, and I will be hand delivering and hand picking up the cards. So you don't have to worry about anyone else touching your cards. It will be me, and I will update you every step of the way. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to personally pick up the cards from a P.O. box, prep them, new card saver, new penny sleeve, and deliver them to SGC every single Tuesday. Why Tuesday? Well, it lets the stragglers over the weekend come back through on Monday and gives me a day to prep, and it basically gives SGC the entire week to work on grading those cards. Once your cards pop, only then at the end of the process will you be paying for the service. It's $25 per card, simple as that, and the turnaround times have never been faster. We're hearing right now 13, 14, less than 20 business days. So there it is. 9170 Glades Road, number 135 is the P.O. Box in Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. 9170 Glades Road, number 135, Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. Of course, you could shoot me an email or shoot me a text anytime, and I'm always available. Many of you already have my email. It's iamandrewgoldberg@gmail.com. or my cell phone number, 215-519-9154. Reach out with any questions. I could walk you through the process. I've hopped on the call with quite a few of you, and I'm happy to do that. Love you, Luca Nation.